Good evening. I believe we're in session. Is that true? So we don't have to come back in session?
No, we need to roll call. Yeah.
Do a
Start
roll.
session.
Okay.
Rodney G.
Here.
Doris Graham.
Here.
Craig Larson.
Here.
Mary Lupke.
Here.
Kevin M. Martin.
Here.
Nicole Robinson.
Here.
We welcome everybody to our September board meeting. And sorry we're a few minutes late. We had a really good discussion in executive session. It's sometimes hard to rein that in. Important set of important issues. Do we have any guests that someone has brought that they would like to introduce? Yes.
Yes, I'm Jeff Tessina. I'm a current student at who's gone to various campuses. Currently, I'm at Merrimack. I did sign up with Jessica Grove to speak during the public session, and please let me know when that time comes.
I will, Jeff. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Do we have any citizens desiring to address the board regarding agenda items?
Not agenda items, no.
Okay. An adoption, we'll have a motion to adopt the agenda or a motion to revise the agenda, either one.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I will take a motion to accept the minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes from the September 28th regular meeting, public session meeting.
Second.
Thank you. I think I said we were in the September meeting. We're in the October meeting.
Close.
Yeah. Close enough.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes. Any discussion? Anybody find anything? Corrections? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Our next item is recognition of student and staff accomplishments. Thank you, Bill. Move that over here.
Good evening, Chairman Larson. Chancellor Pittman is not here tonight, but I welcome trustees, faculty, staff, and guests. Tonight, we are recognizing faculty, staff, and alumni who are finalists or will receive an award at the Missouri Community College Association's annual convention next month in Kansas City, the 8th through the 10th. Our first honoree is Jerry Myers, professor of music at Merrimack. He is a finalist for the MCCA Excellence in Teaching Award. This award is presented annually to outstanding instructors for work done during the previous year. 2 winners will be announced at the Convention Awards dinner on November the 9th. Jerry has taught at STLCC for 15 years. He serves as the director of choral activities and is the music program coordinator. He also directs the Merrimack Concert Choir and chamber singers. Jerry is the faculty advisor for the Merrimack chapter of Phi Theta Kappa and is the honors program coordinator. Outside of STLCC, Jerry serves as the executive director of the Crescendo Youth Choirs. So congratulations to Jerry and good luck.
Is he here?
Want to take a picture?
We're going to take a picture.
You did get one last month.
We need one this one.
Join me for a picture. We can take Jeff. It's agenda.
I am so
Next, we recognize Alex Pulinen and Paul Jackson, who are finalists for the MCCA Classified Staff Achievement Award. It is presented annually to a member or members of the MCCA's Classified Staff Department who have had a positive impact on their college and the department. 2 winners will be announced at the Convention Awards dinner. Alex is a media technician 2 at Forest Park, while Paul is a media specialist also at Forest Park. Alex and Paul were instrumental in assisting with the technical setup for last year's MCCA convention in St. Louis. They will also be performing those duties at this year's convention in Kansas City. Both individuals are willing to drop what they're doing to make sure that the technology is running appropriately at all events and in the classrooms. They have a critical eye for excellence, and they'll do anything they can to make sure that not only are things working, but they have created the best setup possible. We wish congratulations and good luck to Alex and Paul.
Shall we take your-
Can't be in front of the screen.
They are so funny.
Stand in front of the big blue banner. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Cuban shuffle now. Shuffle to the left, to the left.
So,
It's on every cruise ship.
I would just comment that I've served on the MCCA advisory board, and the service they provide to the convention is phenomenal, and a money saver for the state, so thank you.
Next, we would like to recognize Yuki Tanaka McFarland, PhD, adjunct faculty member in the foreign languages at Forest Park. Yuki is a finalist for the Outstanding Adjunct Faculty Award. It recognizes the vital contributions that adjuncts make to the community college mission. Nominees must have taught at least one course per academic year for 3 consecutive years as adjunct faculty. 2 winners will be announced at the Convention Awards dinner. Yuki is in her 3rd year with the college teaching Japanese. She helps her students immerse themselves in the culture beyond just the language. She's very active in the St. Louis community, contributing to such events as the Japanese Festival at the Missouri Botanical Gardens. She also teaches origami, introduction to calligraphy, and Japanese cooking. In 2021, she gave a presentation at Merrimack during the International Education Week. One of her students, Donovan Thomas, said that Yuki is the definition of an ideal teacher. She is hardworking, passionate, and supportive. Yuki teaches in a manner that is essential to the growth and success of others. Quote, "She is a master of her craft, inspiring one to live up to her expectations and to become the best version of yourself." Congratulations and good luck to Yuki.
I'm here to support Yuki. I think they either got caught in traffic, she was teaching late.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think she will come later?
I don't know,
Well, if you see her, let us know. We'll take a quick break and take her picture.
certainly. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next honoree is William Hubble, District Division Dean of Academic Affairs Health Sciences. He is a finalist for the MCCA Administrative Professional Leadership Award. It is presented to, whoop, went too far there. I don't know that we have a picture of William. No? Okay. It is presented annually to the member of the MCCA's Administrative Professional Department who has demonstrated exemplary leadership practices within their college and throughout the community. Recipients exceed expectations for campus involvement and for advancing the mission of community colleges throughout the state, and have exemplary records of service in professional and civic organizations. 2 winners will be announced at the Convention Awards dinner. Bill has provided strong leadership for the growth of health sciences and for the addition of a Bachelor of Science degree in respiratory care at STLCC. He has participated in Leadership Missouri and is part of the Missouri Hospital Association. He has been instrumental in the expansion of the college's nursing program and is presently planning the expansion of many other college health science programs. He works closely with industry partners to grow those relationships at every level. Congratulations and good luck to Bill. Woo.
Thank you.
Our next honorees are Marcus Ahrens, Professor of Accounting and District Chair of Accounting, Business, and Economics, and Elizabeth Cottle, Senior Project Manager 1 at Merrimack. They are finalists for the MCCA Innovation Award, which recognizes as innovative project an innovative project by an individual group or group of faculty and staff members at the community college. This award encourages the creative and effective use of technology to improve outcomes and/or operations. 2 winners will be announced at the convention awards dinner. Marcus and Elizabeth created the Financial Literacy Summer Program for high school students. Partnering with Edward Jones, STLCC offers this no-cost workshop at the Merrimack campus to teach students how to successfully manage money. Workshops include topics like banking, budgeting, managing credit and debt, investing, career opportunities in business, and finance. Students who complete the workshop are eligible for STLCC scholarships to pursue an associate's degree in a business-related field. Marcus and Elizabeth were unable to join us this evening, but let's give them a round of applause and wish them good luck. Our final honoree tonight is Chantel Fisher, who will receive a Distinguished Alumni Award at the Convention Awards dinner. These awards are presented to the exceptional individuals who have attended a Missouri community college. And although it's not required that the recipient be a graduate of a community college, preference is given to those who have earned a certificate or completed a degree program. Chantel will receive her award at the convention dinner. Chantel, who is formerly incarcerated, graduated in 2013 from STLCC with honors in communications and arts broadcasting. She holds bachelor's degrees in educational studies and media studies from the University of Missouri St. Louis and master's degrees from Washington University and Eden Theological Seminary. With the STLCC Foundation, she created the Chantel Fisher Restored for Success Scholarship in 2019 to assist formerly incarcerated women pursuing a degree at STLCC. She has also actively participated on the Foundation's Gala Committee since 2020. In 2012, Chantel founded the Soul Fisher Ministries, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to respond to the needs of youth with incarcerated parents and to promote restorative justice for those currently or formerly incarcerated. Chantel is committed to educating and empowering young people to succeed in life. She wants to reestablish broken lives and homes through education, job training and employment, computer literacy, and transitional housing. And Chantel's focused on re-empowering formerly incarcerated women to be productive influences on their family and their community and to help break the cycle of the school-to-prison pipeline. Chantel was unable to attend tonight's meeting, but let's give her, as well as our other award finalists, a round of applause.
You've been recognized.
We just read wonderful things about you. You missed it, but we love
Want to read them again?
Yeah, come up here with her.
Yeah, take that back.
Take a deep breath.
You did 2 presidents. Yeah.
Ready?
Set, go.
3, 2. I don't go to 1 to the left.
Yeah,
Everybody.
do they have a Coke over there? Pepsi?
I thought just diet.
And she also teaches at South County.
I need one.
And you just came back, I know.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Rod, did you get ready to go? You getting ready to go? Get some rest. Take
Feel
care
better.
of yourself. Please. Please take care of yourself. Praying for you.
Thank you, Board. That concludes tonight's presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was so cute.
So I think we have a presentation on course selections related to the guided pathways.
Mr. Chair, if I can, I know at agenda review, I just want to let you know where it came about for the rest.
Okay,
We did get an
thank you very much.
email update about it last time, and I thought it'd be helpful because there was a lengthy detail, and this has been a topic that we've been working on, that we just have a discussion with what the email said last time about the details of the process, because there seemed to be questions from last time, so I asked if this could be added, and that's where it came from. What's been happening for 2 years, how are they determining classes, because I appreciate the email, but there was a lot. It was like 5 pages of information, so I know not everyone might not be able to read it fully to be able to have someone speak about it. I thought would be helpful, so.
And there may be questions, so we make sure we understand. Dr. Langer, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening, trustees, colleagues, and guests. I am Andrew Langmer, and I'm the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. I'm presenting tonight some information related to the Pathways work on course scheduling, kind of narrowly. And how do we decide which elective courses are not in the schedule for spring 2024? Should be a PowerPoint. Perfect. Thank you. So this slide just shows a schedule of events for my remarks. I'm going to make a few comments about why we're doing Pathways and the current goals in front of us. And then I'm going to explain the approach that we use to reducing the elective options. And then I'm going to talk about the outcomes and the next steps on this work. So why are we doing this? Well, we've heard a lot about Pathways over the last few years. We know it's a best practice. I'm just going to read a quote from the Community College Research Center at Columbia University. You may have heard this before, but Guided Pathways is a model designed to help all students explore, choose, plan, and complete programs aligned with their career and educational goals efficiently and affordably. Hundreds of colleges are implementing Guided Pathways reforms to improve student completion rates, close equity gaps, and increase enrollment in an increasingly competitive environment. So we know that the course-centric cafeteria model isn't effective or sustainable in today's world. So we have been endeavoring to become a more program-centric college following the Pathways lens. And where we have created pathways tightly coupled with careers, we have found success. So you'll see on this slide some information we know about where it hurts student completion when we increase cost and time to completion. And you'll see the last bullet talks some about our health care programs, where we know we have tightly coupled programs that are connected with industry, and we see some of our best completion and job placement rates, just as an example. So the next few slides are going to look familiar because they come from a presentation that we gave to the board back in January. And one of the pieces I want to focus your attention on is underlined. So on this slide, we laid out the goals that we're working on right now. And that's a heavy lift. We're working really hard at it. But you'll notice that as part of the strategic scheduling goal, that we are going to include more limited course choices so that students have more efficient time to completion. So that was part of that presentation in January. So we've been working on that. This next slide is from that same presentation, and it talks a bit about how we're also going to use some new technologies. Ad Astra is implemented, and we're using the data analytics there to help us understand student needs in our schedule. So this slide, I underlined a portion of it because it suggests we're going to do this, and we have done it. It's also from that presentation, and this slide also comes from that presentation. And this one may look slightly different. I've underlined it this time. In the presentation last January, step 3 was in red, because we know that when you're looking at, everybody loves our course content and our curriculum, right? When you're looking at trying to decide which electives to take off of the schedule, those are tough conversations. And so we discussed it in January, and we worked on it through the spring. We presented the outcomes of that in a workshop in August. But I want to provide a little more detail on how we got to those decisions, because that became a conversation at the end of the last board meeting. So here's the approach. As promised, we used a data-driven approach that did use multiple sets of eyes. So first, the curriculum and assessment unit determined which courses out of our many, many courses, we have over 1,600 courses in the college. They looked through and determined which courses are required for degree completion or are recommended in one of our transfer focus areas, right? You need it for a degree here, or it's recommended you need that for a degree when you transfer. Those were not considered because those are needs. After the curriculum and assessment office determined that, we took the rest of the courses and had the course schedule review team, the CSRT, which we've presented on a few times, analyze enrollment trends over a number of years. I think it was 4 or 5 years worth of data that they used to determine their recommendations about which courses we should consider for removal from the schedule. They provided those recommendations to the Academic Affairs Leadership Team. So we reviewed those recommendations, multiple meetings. We took those recommendations and the presidents took those recommendations to the deans. They brought back information from the deans about some of the consequences of if we remove this course. We weighed those things heavily, as we said in the previous slide from last January, because they're tough decisions. And the Academic Affairs Leadership Team determined which ones we were not going to be offering starting in spring 2024. So the outcome of those conversations are on this slide. This slide has information that is a review of things that were on a handout and in our presentation in August. But for clarity, the other slides just had the course number and the course prefix. So here it's got the name, so you can see more clearly which courses we've removed from the schedule. It's about 20-ish courses here. And these courses are not offered more than a few sections a year and not on all campuses. So it's a small student demand. And there are other more popular offerings to meet the general education requirements. These are electives, right? They're not required in any of our programs in these disciplines. So that's why these were identified for removal from the schedule. So what are our next steps? What do we do from here? Well, right now we have less than a dozen transfer focus areas currently in the catalog, and we need to make sure we're strategically considering where to add these, where we see student need for transfer. We need to improve some program curriculum. We need to continue to consider program viability. And we need to add where the market demands. We look at market internally. We have Ruffalo Noel Levitz looking at some market data right now. So there will be times where we need to add some programming. You've probably heard some of the neat things we're doing in GIS. All these things will continue to require that we look using these same considerations at the schedule as we move forward. We'll continue to lean on new technology like Ad Astra, the course schedule review team for their analysis and academic leadership to place a program-centric lens on our schedule. So those are my efficient remarks, narrowly focused on the questions from the last meeting. And I want to thank you for your time and answer any questions you might have about what I presented.
I might encourage you to start because you've been driving this conversation, at least at the board level.
Yeah, so thank you. I think for me, it's helpful of how do we stay at governance versus getting into the weeds. And sometimes it can get, for me, it's sometimes we want to get attached to something. And for example, if I really love history of jazz and I'm like, no, we can't get rid of that course. That's why for me, I really wanted to understand what is the process at the governing level, which I think you laid out nicely. And I agree with the process you are using. I might not always agree with every course that should come or go, but I think it's important for me as one, that we stay at the governing level and not get into the weeds of which classes we should and shouldn't get into, and really either support the process or don't support the process. So if we don't like this process, I think we need to speak today, and if we're fine with the process, then we need to give our stamp of approval, in my opinion, because we can't, as an institution, go down this rabbit hole of things coming up at other points, and we're like, well, we don't, Mary really loves how to make water bottles and she wants this class. That's not our level as a governing body. And so how do we, I didn't fully understand the process that was going on for course selection, and I think this was helpful. I've heard bits and pieces, but to get a repicture of it and really understand I personally support this process that we're using, and
Why don't you go up one level
Yep.
and say, why are we thinning out some of our courses? What's the purpose of that?
Well,
One of the two of you, it doesn't matter.
yeah, I think Andrew led to a good point of, we have too many students graduating with more credits than they need in order to get their degree completion. So they're spending more financial aid money, they're spending more time in college, and certainly sometimes not even getting to the degree with a whole bunch of classes that don't get them to a degree of any kind. And so I think by slimming our focus, but giving a wide breadth of options for students, gets them on a pathway of knowing clearly where they need to go. But also I think opening up the doors to market review of what is the market driving. And I'm intrigued to know how quickly we'll be able to add more programs on, because markets are very different today in what we need. Even with AI coming on board and all this other stuff, where are we at? And we can't just keep adding and not take away. We have to really drive the data with somewhere. So I think it's equally important that we're looking at both sides of the pendulum and not just taking away, because it's not a financial situation. We're not in financial trouble where we have to take things away to save money. It's more driven by what is our mission as an institution and how are we going to achieve that. And so for me, that's where I kind of land. I don't know if that answers your question, Dr. Larson.
You
Or
want to add to
statement.
that, Andrew? 'Cause
Well said, Dr. Martin. I would just add that, we have precious resources in terms of our faculty and our classrooms at key times during the day. So we want to make sure we have that scheduled efficiently and effectively with courses that are needs or in very high demand. So there's a practical side to that too.
other board members have questions or comments?
Hi, Andrew.
Hi.
As you know, I taught in a CTE program, so for 30 years.
Yeah.
We had this process.
Yeah.
Because people had to go through, get certified, get licensed to work. And what I discovered with non-CTE programs was that students were using all their financial aid up, not understanding why. They picked classes they wanted to take, and they chose things that were important than realized. So in addition to the fact that it makes sense to get students through a program to graduation to move on, it makes sense so that students are using their precious financial aid for the courses they need. And I think for decades, that wasn't quite understood, that this financial aid stopped, and so the student stopped. And so guiding a student carefully through a program with their financial aid, or without it, but with their financial aid, so that they can end up with a degree, I think is extremely essential. And I don't know how we would do that any other way in this time without some kind of pathways.
Well said.
Anyone else?
I support the pathways. I have a personal reason. I have a sister, Barbara. She had worked for the community college at Forest Park for about 15, 20 years. Her desire is to get her associate degree. She has taken so many courses till finally she had to find an advisor or somebody to gather all these courses together and put them under something, something called general or whatever. And so when I hear about this pathways, I wonder, why in the heck wasn't this done a long time ago?
That's fair. It's fair. Better late than never. But we're working hard at it now.
I thank you for it.
Yeah.
You're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's good and helpful presentation. I think our next topic is student services, a budget transfer. I assume Mark will probably make our presentation. I think there's a couple motions you need after this, right?
If you recall, back in January at the workshop, I guess it was, or the board meeting, the board authorized or requested that $284,000 be put into, used out of the student services fee in order to supplant money given by the foundation to assist with students who had resource and particular food challenges. We had talked about providing meals for those students, and Student Services has come up with a way to appropriate that $284,000. And so I'm going to ask Dr. Keith Robender to come up and explain what it is. The issue here tonight is that it requires a $100,000 transfer from the student services fee budget to scholarships in order to accommodate what they're doing. But I thought it might be good for you to hear how they're going to use the funds that you requested be allocated. So, Keith?
Thank you.
Good evening. So we first started by talking with our students who use our services to ask them what are the needs they experience and how we can understand that. So this really comes from their feedback and engagement with our staff about how we can better support their success. What they shared with us is two primary things. One is the access to a hot meal. And that really emerged from your workshop and was something we wanted to do. So we engaged with American Dining Creations about how that might work and to create a plan and an infrastructure which would give students in need that access. And we have developed a process for them to apply for that and for us to assess their food insecurity using the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food Security Index, which is a 6-question assessment. It's pretty easy, but it's reliable and documented that it accurately predicts whether someone is food secure, has low insecurity, or has moderate to high insecurity. We would be targeting this meal plan initiative for those who have moderate or high food insecurity. If they have low food insecurity, we'd be working them with our other programs that already exist. And we are ideally targeting $184,000 of the budgeted amount for that initiative, and it would be done through a meal code through American Dining Creations in their app, and students would have access to use that at any of the locations at any of the colleges where American Dining Creations provides point of sale service. But one of the things that students also told us was that there are other things that are preventing them from succeeding in college and having access that cause them to drop out, and they're not necessarily emergencies, and so they don't fall into our current emergency fund process. And so we are proposing a basic needs scholarship that would operate as a Board of Trustees scholarship through financial aid, and so students would need to be eligible, and we would work with our colleagues in the financial aid office around that, but would allow them, if they have a barrier that's going to prevent them from staying in school that we can't address through any other means, to be able to get them the financial resources they need to get above and through that. In both of these programs, the students who are awarded either a meal plan initiative or a basic needs scholarship will then have engagement with our office and our staff to provide support and resources so that they are, again, not navigating that alone, that they have access to all the resources of the college as well as our connections to community resources throughout the St. Louis metro area that, again, will provide that scaffolding, that intrusive support so they can focus on their education and complete their goals. So we have all that in place. But that is what we're trying to address, both of those identified student requests, one for basic needs scholarships and one for the meal plan initiative through American Dining Creations. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about how we're going to implement
So
that.
I think what you said at the beginning is right. This is a direct response to the workshop we had where we were trying to say, how can we better support students?
I just have a question for logistics of just the basic needs one. Is that something that, I know we talked about rent getting paid if someone had an emergency and needed rent paid or utilities or something like that. Is that still part of the plan?
Yeah, so our funds through the foundation, we have worked with Joanne and the foundation staff. That has increased over the last few years, but our demand is kind of with inflation and costs also outpacing it. It also has a very narrowly defined definition of what is an emergency. And sometimes students' financial barriers fall outside of that, and we still want to be able to give them the resources they need so that we can keep them in school and again, support them to move forward. And this fills that gap.
And I think that's certainly what the intention of what we want. I guess my other question is with that, are we doing direct payment? So if someone's behind on or needs rent, are we paying directly rent, or are we just giving someone cash to be able to then potentially go use it for rent or other things?
So the current plan is to award that through the financial aid student account process that's already set up. So the students will get the cash, and we don't have to set up each of their landlords as a vendor through the college, which takes 6 weeks sometimes. So this gets the money to them in the most timely way. But what we're building into our process is that students will acknowledge that they asked for it for a specific purpose, and they will accept responsibility to use it for the intended purpose, so that they can't come back the next month and say, well, actually, I used it for something else, and now I need more money. So there is some, we're trying to also empower students and teach them how to be good stewards of their resources, how to have a budget and follow it, and be able to do some of that. But I think we need to trust our students to be able to use the money for what they said they needed it for.
And then I guess with that, do we have any documentation on the front side that Mary's my landlord and I'm late, that we're providing some type of documentation that Mary, my landlord, saying she needs $800, and so there's why I need $800?
In our application process, which we we use Smart Sheets to do that, students have are asked to upload documentation about what their expense is. We will really be pretty flexible with them about doing that, but that's our staff, before we would award, would look for that documentation and information so we can get them the right amount of money and make sure it's used for the right purpose to keep them in school.
And I look forward to the food one too, because I know that came from ACCT, I believe, in New York last year, if I'm not mistaken. Dr.
Well, and
Larson?
also from one of the
The
colleges
workshops.
close to us that decided to offer a free meal as a part of
Yes.
trying to enroll more students.
OTC.
Oh, students.
I'll be interested to see how many take us up on that, and we benefit from that. Thank
And
you.
we would hope to, once we get this, if you accept the motion and move forward, we have most of our infrastructure and logistics in place. We hope to be able to pilot as soon as possible yet this semester. So by the time budgets come around, we might have some preliminary data that'll help us to predict if this balance of funding between the two initiatives is the right balance, and if it's sufficient to meet our current needs, so.
Is this a part of the wraparound services we talked about in our last session?
Very much.
So yes, if students apply for this and we recommend to financial aid that it's awarded, they will engage with our office. So we'll follow up with them and make sure they're doing okay and they have the services and the supports they need. We're not just giving them money or meals, we're giving them that extra support and wrapping that around. And it'll be individualized based on what their specific situation is.
Great. Anyone else have questions? My heart's warm. You know, I feel good about this.
It's a great initiative, and I
Thank
think it's an incredibly innovative practice that I think will set St. Louis Community College apart from our peers and for others who were on the leading edge of this work, I believe, so.
Well, and what you said at the end is that you'll kind of bring back data and how's this working and how many people are using it. I mean, I assume we'll get better at this over time.
Absolutely.
And the board will be more generous over time if that's what it takes, so let us know.
I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So since this is there's no increase in the budget, this is just a transfer between the student services fee line item for operating expenses and to the scholarship and the aid fund. So we would request that you make a motion and approve that recommendation.
So what motion do we need?
It's
It's in board doc.
3.1.
Okay. I do have that. Do you want to read the motion?
Sure. I move that we amend the fiscal year '24 budget to reallocate $100,000 from supply and services line of the student services fee budget to the student aid budget for the purpose of funding basic needs scholarships. The amendment is not intended to increase or decrease the approved fiscal year '24 operating budget.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. And there's another motion.
I move that we authorize the chancellor to approve contracts and bid awards for the period beginning November 17, 2023, ending December 11, 2023, with the approval of the chair and vice chair.
Is that the right motion?
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. I recommend we approve a 4% cost of increase for non-certificated employee retirement plan benefit effective January 1st, 2024 for all NSERP participants who retired on or before June 30th, 2023, or the beneficiaries of such participants.
Motion?
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Moving right along, 3.4, recommend approval of trustees Larson, Lipke, Marshall, G. Martin travel to DC for ACCT National Legislative Summit scheduled for February 4th through 7th.
It's been moved.
Second.
Excuse me. Before we complete that motion, I had overlooked that and I sent in my request to also go.
I believe there was a deadline for that to be done, for registration, all that.
Oh, I didn't see it.
We can talk about it, Doris, but I think it would, we've met a deadline on this.
And I'm on the nominating committee, National Nominating Committee, and I have a meeting before that summit begins. So I'm sorry I missed the message, but I did.
Well, right now, there's been a motion, there needs to be a second
Let's approve
for
this.
discussion. Yeah. Is there a second?
A second.
Now we can have discussion.
Oh, okay, I did not see that message from Jessica until today. This morning I responded to it, so. I had that information at the conference that we did attend, but I was into the workings of that conference. And
So you're on the ACCT nominating committee?
nominating committee. That was a two-year term, and this will be my second year.
But isn't this a legislative summit?
Yes.
Yeah, that they meet, those
they?
committees meet before, so it's actually over the weekend before that the meeting
Yes.
occurs, so either Saturday or Sunday.
Well, I think if you're going before, then we can certainly look at, because this is specific, says 4th through 7th in the motion. I'm just not be technical.
Yeah, it is 4 through 7.
So certainly if you need to go for something else, I think we can take that up and approve that at another meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
all right. So we've had a motion, second, we've had discussion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. We have a consent agenda with a lot of items, including we're doing some construction. Pretty big dollars in some of those. And I assume we're all right, we're ready to, we have those monies available, right?
Yes. And just so you know, we'll be, after next Tuesday, we'll be at approximately $35 million expended on STLCC Transformed. So we're
But we have
We're
well
online.
more than that.
we're online to, yes, we're in good shape.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm choking. I think I'll get over that in a minute. It was probably the wraparound services that got me. It did, actually, but that's not what I'm looking for. So we have quite a few items in the consent agenda. I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda in a second.
Motion.
Second.
And is there any discussion, or does anybody want to pull an item, want to look at something any further?
I would 4.6.
Okay. Do you want to pull the whole thing, or do you want to ask a question now?
Ask a question.
Okay, great.
I didn't notice anything on SLPC for dual enrollment. So I'm not, something was not submitted.
On
or,
who?
For St. Louis Public Schools.
This was a set of MOUs, correct?
Yes.
For various districts or schools around dual enrollment, and she's asking if SLPS, if we have an agreement with them as well, and I think we do.
Yes, ma'am. So we have already submitted SLPS's. Theirs was done in May.
All right.
They come in at varying times depending on when their boards approve, and then they get out.
Sounds good.
It might be a good moment to say, about how many of our school districts do we have an agreement with?
All of them.
All of them.
Thank you.
All right.
That's a huge change over time, so it's really great. Okay,
That was my
Good
question.
question, good clarification. Any other questions? All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. We didn't have a possible item removed, so we are ready for the Chancellor's report. Dr. Pittman.
Thank you, Dr. Larson, and good evening, everyone, and greetings from Madison, Wisconsin. My report will be very short tonight. I just want to share the good news that the college has been reaffirmed to have a board seat on the League for Innovation. That is a direct result of reflection of this board and all of the faculty and staff of this college. We are one of 20 of the top community colleges in the nation to be on this board. So you should feel very, very good about that. This journey began for me almost 8.5 years ago. When I was hired at St. Louis Community College, Dr. Larson approached me and asked me to begin looking at the possibility of getting back on the league board. I believe Dr. Larson even made a visit to the League for Innovation to see the CEO and ask about the possibility of reaffirmation. So congratulations to the board, congratulations to the faculty and staff. I can say that just being at my first league board meeting, the incredible innovation and ideas that are occurring across the United States and Canada with community colleges is amazing. And I'm coming back, and the staff will be sighing now because I'm coming back with a lot of great ideas that I saw. Even today we got the opportunity at the Madison College to see some of the innovative things they're doing with their communities and the diversity and cultural things that they're doing to have students come in and enroll in programs and complete courses is just amazing. So we're really in good company, but at the same time, I thought I heard 2 potential Innovation of the Year awards presented tonight. With what Keith presented and what Andrew presented, we're leap years ahead of other colleges in this nation. Everyone should feel good about that. I just want to congratulate you all, and thanks for this opportunity to speak.
And is that your report?
That concludes my report.
Well, we thank you very much for what has been years' worth of work, because I know you've had multiple conversations with them in the last 8 years to kind of figure out what path has to be followed to get back into the governing part. I mean, we've been involved with the league over the years, but now we're a part of that governing board. And as you said, one of the top colleges in the country, which is this board's goal. There's no reason why St. Louis Community College should not be one of the top colleges in the United States, and that's literally what we're working on and what you're working on. I would have a very short chair report, which is really to say the work around pathways is beginning to be very real, and I think our discussion tonight made that clear. But I'm also in conversation in my role working with the K-12 world with high schools who are beginning to take that whole idea, because it's not as much in high schools yet, but there is discussion there. But trying to help high schools think about, getting kids out of high school is not really the goal, right? I mean, you do want them to get out, but the goal is, what are they going to do with their life? I mean, and how do you help them figure that out? And when do you start? Probably in middle school. And what experiences do you help them have over time? So we're actually driving a conversation in the whole region. And I think it's the right thing to do, but it's exciting. And we're not done by any means. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of those pathways that aren't nearly as filled out as the health careers area, thanks to good leadership and some construction and adding seats and all that. We need to do that same thing in a lot of other areas. And this board is 100% behind all of that and really looks forward to the continuing next steps. And I think we have a groundbreaking coming up around transportation, right?
October 25th.
So another building getting started on Forest Park's campus. Look forward to that. And I think Rodney G, assuming he has contracted pneumonia.
Yeah.
But I had asked him if he would be the speaker, and we'll see if he can do it. I'm going to be there anyway, but I know he has a special interest in Forest Park and in homeless students and how do we serve those wraparound services. So, and I don't know that the transportation area is any more appropriate for that than anything, but it certainly draws a lot of students that we can quickly get to work. So I thought that was a good fit for him. So that's probably all I would say. I would invite at this point, we have a citizen who wants to address the board regarding another issue, not on the agenda, right?
Yeah, Jeff Tessina?
Yes.
And you're limited to 2 minutes in this conversation, so Jessica will help us with timekeeping. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I've been waiting to take BUS 104 with Professor Clark. I was scheduled to take it in the spring of 2016, but I got suspended. Why is a long story, but because I have Asperger's syndrome, this produced pathological tear. Professor Clark never taught that course again until spring of 2020, when all classes ultimately went online, and then the only time he taught that course after that in person was in the spring of 2022. The reason why I didn't sign up for it then was because of the twin requirements of mask and social distancing, neither of which I can handle because of my disability, but still, I know that a lot of students like Professor Clark, so perhaps you could develop a survey to ask those who've had him for microeconomics or macroeconomics if they'd also like for him to teach business administration, and if there's enough interest, you can add a section for which he would teach. That would really take a load off my mind. Ever since that suspension, I felt like those kids who've been deported from their parents and sent back, separated from their parents and sent back to Mexico. I also feel like I've been treading water in the Atlantic Ocean for the past 7 years, all because of this. And it would really take a load off my mind if Professor Clark could teach that course. So that's why I thought a survey of to see if students would like to have him. Then, if there's enough interest, then that would add to the impetus to have him teach the class. Right now, I feel in my mind like a quiet teen version of Rain Man in that scene outside the house in the middle of nowhere where he wanted to watch People's Court. I'm keeping it to this because of the 2-minute limit, but I do want you to, I want everyone to know that I do want a way to be found for Professor Clark to teach BUS 104 in person. I've been waiting to take the course just until he teaches it.
Sorry.
You did need to stop that second, but.
I'm so sorry. I did forget I was that line.
In that case, having Professor Clark for that course is more important than a degree to me because he's like a surrogate relative. I did not have good relationships with my family, so Professor Clark fills that void.
Great. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
sharing
so
this
much.
with us. Appreciate it. Any other citizens?
No.
Okay. Board member comments. Shall we start, Dr. Graham?
I want to thank the board for allowing me to attend the ACCT meeting in Las Vegas. It was my friend Barbara Reed was my roommate, and we had a wonderful time. I attended about 8 different sessions. One I did. I had been appointed to the Diversity, Inclusion and Equity Committee, and our meeting was on that Sunday, so we had to go a day early. But I want you to know that this takeaway for me from that session is that St. Louis Community College is just a lot of steps ahead of a whole lot of other community colleges around the United States. And I did receive a certificate for my work on the Diversity Committee. And there are 3 states I found out they have passed laws where they're not allowing the colleges to have diversity committees or clubs, or you can't even mention the name diversity, inclusion, or equity, or you might be in big trouble, you might lose your job, or whatever. But just like in the days of slavery, we learned how to work around words and still get the job done. So thank you again for allowing me to go.
Thanks, Doris.
Just want to say thank you for the presentations today. Not a lot in the discussion earlier, so not a lot, but thank you very much.
I think it's very exciting to be back in the League of Innovation, and Dr. Pittman, the work that you put into making that happen is gargantuan, so congratulations. I feel like tonight we're closing and settling a lot of things we've been working on for 2 years or a year and a half, or trying to be sure that our initiatives are exactly set up the way they should be, and that takes time, and that takes energy, and it takes understanding of your colleagues, and it takes a whole lot of work, and we've discussed this over and over and over in different ways in our meetings, and I feel like tonight we've had a real culmination of success stories and understanding of the important work that we're doing, and that is the work that you do, so congratulations.
Well, on that note, I think we have come to the end of our meeting a little earlier than I thought, which is great. Probably great for everybody. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.